You're watching EVH Gear TV, brought to you by Design 39 Media. Visit design39media.com for all your website photography and video production needs. Microphones for EVH Gear TV are provided by Rode Microphones, and official Van Halen merchandise is provided by VanHalenStore.com. Now, here's your host from Ontario, Canada, EVH Gear artist Eric Broadbent.
Hey everyone, happy Saturday afternoon to you all. Welcome to EVH Gear TV. We are live once again. It's been a busy round of shows, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but I'm very happy to be doing yet another show with Stewart Guitar CEO Jim Reed. Jim, how are you?
I'm doing great. Great to be here.
Awesome. We're really happy to have you here. We're going to be talking some really cool travel guitars today that we've both been having a lot of fun with, and I've been playing like crazy. And I think we're going to show some people some of the fun things you can do with these things and actually play them. In the video description, I labeled it as play at your destination, but in a lot of cases, on your way to your destination. As long as you're not behind the wheel of a car, you can pretty much do it anywhere. So that's pretty awesome. Yeah, I think
that is true. That is true. Yeah, it is nice because it's so versatile and you can take it wherever you want. You know,
that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Well, before we get into kind of the backstory on the company and the guitars and how this all come to fruition, tell our listeners here and viewers a little bit about yourself with some backstory on you.
Sure. I'm a longtime guitar enthusiast. I started playing when I was about 12 or 13, like a lot of folks do, and just have always enjoyed that. I played in bands since I've been about 16 or so, and was born in actually Sumter, South Carolina. My dad was in the military. They moved to Dallas, actually Waco area, that I never remember. And then I was back in Pennsylvania. And that's kind of where I cut my teeth on my music. Got together with some buddies and did some things, and it was a lot of fun. We did, I kind of cut my teeth on a lot of the Southern rock kind of things. I loved all those intricate rhythms and the neat soloing that they did. And that was kind of the intro to some of the things I did and some of the 80s music. But fast forward, I actually went to school at Penn State, and I wound up landing in Dallas with some high-tech things that I was doing, and some more playing in the Dallas area quite a bit, especially in the 2004 through 2011, 2012. And, as I was doing that playing, one of the things that was a challenge for me when I was trying to sharpen my skills even more, when I was taking some lessons with guys and stuff, is that when I was out of town on my business ventures, I never could take a guitar with me, So that was always a challenge, and it was always difficult to want to do things. And people wanted me to come do gigs out of town and all that kind of thing, and it just was so cumbersome. So that was kind of the impetus of kind of some of this stuff happening, and then we'll talk about more later. But still enjoy playing all the time. I have 3 children, and again, now I'm in the Dallas area, and Dallas is a great place for music as well.
Yeah,
of course. And so I love doing that kind of thing, and I play regularly, and I just really enjoy it. So it's great to have your audience here, because I know that we all share the same enthusiasm for playing guitar.
That's right. Well, thank you for the backstory. It's very nice to get a bit of a picture painted there as well too. And I understand too, you've made friends with one of our mutual friends here on the show, Jared Frost, who's kind of a neighbor to you almost.
I have, and we look forward. I think we might be able to get together next week, so we're looking forward to that. Yeah, I've talked to him quite a bit on the back and forth, so we're looking forward to that. He would like to play one of the guitars, and I'll certainly set something up where we can get together.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, he's a good player. He's obviously a huge Van Halen fan. That's kind of what's brought us all together here. But I think he's going to like it, and he's he's one to travel too. I mean, he goes over to Europe sometimes and things like that too. So I think the fact that he might be able to leave one of his Wolfgangs behind and take something like this and still have some fun. Still feel like you're playing a real guitar, which is great. So we got a bunch of people jumping over in the chat. We've got Jack Shea Martin over here so far, and FNAF Gamers. We'll get to some other people here soon too with any questions that they may have.
Absolutely.
But yeah, first of all, before we get into the meat and potatoes, which is the guitar itself, we can't skip the topic of the hour is Eddie Van Halen. It's an Eddie Van Halen themed show. You were telling me off the air that you have a little bit of influence or at least appreciation for the king of guitar.
Oh my goodness. I mean yes. The tap. I remember actually not to age myself too much, but I remember the first time when the first album came out, and I listened to those cuts, and Eruption, of course, was on there, and I was like, how was he doing doing that. I mean, the technique, I had heard some of that Jimi Hendrix did in a very rudimentary style way back. But goodness, that was just a huge influence on me. I wanted to know immediately how he was doing that. And of course, the pinch harmonics and all the other cool things that he introduced that everybody kind of takes for granted. But he is the master. There's no doubt about that. And really had a huge influence on me.
It's absolutely crazy, isn't it? When you analyze that music, especially if you're hearing it as a young kid. Actually, I shouldn't even say that. At any age, the first time you heard Eruption and some of the tone, not just Eruption, but the stuff from the first few records, you're like, is this guitar? What is this? Is it keyboard in some cases? It was the mystery of the man back then. It happened at a time where we didn't have internet. We didn't have YouTube, especially, and there really weren't even videos back then. You had people with the old 8mm or whatever they shot with back in the day of film. There was a few of those that would surface, but you didn't know what he was doing. So it was you had to use your imagination. And if you're lucky enough to go see him, then, you could put two and two together and say, oh, he's actually doing this or whatever. But always folklore and mystique and just mind-boggling with the talent the man has.
It was, all the Brown sound and everything. And I remember I was in the Philly area, and I saw him 3 times when I was in the Philly area, and every time was just fantastic. I remember, even some of the drop D tunings and some of the other things that he was doing very early on.
Yep.
Mean Streak and some of those other ones where, I'm saying, how is he getting that? And I can't. And then you realize that there's some other things that he's taking care of. So he was genius in his playing, and again, a big hero of mine as far as guitar is concerned. Always will be.
Yeah, and I could see another thing. Take away the talent completely. I think someone like yourself, that running a company, when you were speaking of innovation, Eddie Van Halen has always been someone to innovate and always innovate and reinvent himself. Like you're talking about the drop tunings with guitars, talking about unconventional things. He was dropping down to D without the aid of the D tuner that we have today, D tuner. Just in making things happen without the use of distortion pedals, and there really wasn't anything at that time. The tone, always reinventing. And I think there's a lot of people today, actually yourself included, working in the guitar industry, not because of Eddie Van Halen, but a certain portion of it is because of Eddie Van Halen. He's made the guitar still an instrument of demand, and he's not the only one to thank for that, but he certainly has a lot to do with a lot of us working in the industry.
No doubt about it. Yeah, it's been great. I mean, there's obviously other ones that are surfacing into, and even when you look at modern day, if you're in, I like blues type stuff as well, and you see guys like Joe Bonamassa out there that kind of have reinvented some of that, and what a great player he is as well. So, but yeah, Eddie will always be up there. Somebody asked me, what is the top guitar player that has influenced you? I mean, his name always comes up for me.
Yeah.
So. I don't think there's too many people that can say anything different than that,
I know, and it's strange when you hear it too. Like a lot of the guests I've had on the show are from different genres of music, some even to country, and there's so many people that you would never expect them to be Eddie Van Halen fans, and they're going through their list of influences, and it's like, this person, Eddie Van Halen. It's like, whoa, I wouldn't have expected that,
Yeah.
And it's also another
Exactly.
example, too. You're seeing a lot of these people playing his amplifiers, once again, that you would think that doesn't seem like it fits, but it adapts to that genre, no problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, wicked.
Exactly.
Well, other than Van Halen, and you talked about some of the blues influences, who are some of the other bands, as a kid growing up, that really got you interested?
Well, I loved a lot of the classic rock bands that were out there, Aerosmith and, even other ones. Believe it or not, I mean, back in the 80s, like, Nick Giraldo, the stuff he did with Pat Benatar, I thought was kind of innovative in in that time frame. So we had a girl singer and we were doing cover stuff back then. So we did some of that. And there was, different tunings, the use of ninth chords, the end of the hit me with your best shot and all that kind of stuff. So guys like that, obviously the Skynyrd and some of those Southern rock influences I talked to you about before, those were just, I thought, really cool ways that people were integrating really neat guitar together. So I like that. And then as I got older, guys like Dan Huff, well, of course, Eric Clapton and people like that have always been a big influence. But like guys like Dan Huff and Larry Carlton, Eric Johnson, being from the Dallas area, he was Austin. I mean, those guys just were amazing also and had a big influence on me.
Fantastic. And it's really funny too, like you're talking about the Austin area too. Last night we were chatting with Blue Saraceno on the show, and we were talking about Stevie Ray Vaughan and some of these other players too that, it's amazing how guys of that era, and there's still some that are today, they're kind of born into this, I call it a modern vintage kind of sound. They're kids of this generation, yet they sound like the guys of days gone by. And it's just the way these people attacked it. They didn't do anything special with gear. It was just, a lot of cases, Eric Johnson's a good example. Steve Ray Vaughan, another example.
Yeah. I don't know how I forgot him.
Yeah. No, it's okay. But the way they attack their instrument is the secret of their tone. And some of those guys just absolutely amazing. And I'm in Dallas, man. That's great. Yeah.
It has been a hotbed for a lot of players coming through,
Yeah.
So
I like that. I'd love to get down there sometime. And I understand even recently, was I correct in saying that you guys actually got some extreme cold weather?
We did. Yeah, we did actually. It was the last couple of weeks. I was actually over in Finland on some business that I was doing, and I was in Finland, and it was actually warmer in Finland than it was in Dallas. Dallas was in the teens actually 2 weeks ago, and we had another dip in the teens around the Christmas and New Year's time too. So that's unconventional for this time of the year. Although last week it was in the 60s, so it's kind of up and down. So
yeah, that's like you're getting almost Canadian weather at times.
That's right. Yeah, if those fronts dip down, we can get that. Even way down here in Dallas.
I feel so sorry for people. Like the first time. Visitors, travelers, tourists. So that's where they're trying to find, we're going to go visit Dallas, and they leave their winter coats from Canada at home, and they get down there. It's like, what's going on here?
Yeah. Crazy. There's a saying, I think most towns have this, but in Dallas, the saying is that if you don't like the weather, just hang around. It'll change on you,
Yeah.
Because you could literally have that 15 one day, and then later that week, you could be in the 60s. So you got to be pretty dynamic with your attire, depending on what the day is,
That's like here in Canada too, like in Ontario, Canada especially. I mean, we don't have it as bad as what the western provinces and eastern provinces have, but where I'm at here in the dead center is, you could be wearing a t-shirt on one day, and you could almost be wearing a winter jacket the next day. And my son's like, oh, I'm not, because we had some nice weather for a bit, and he's like, oh, I'm not going to get any more snow days. Kids always like a snow day from school. And I'm like, we live in Ontario. Trust me, it's not over yet. And they're calling for horrific storms coming up here right away. So, it's time to batten down the hatches and get some candles and all the extra stuff just in case.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, we hope that isn't bad for you.
Yeah, no, it'll be okay. Worst case scenario, I'm in a small town where I can walk to everything I need to if I need to. So it's, if I can't get the car out. But anyways, enough of the weather. Let's talk a little bit about how actually the company now come together. You kind of alluded to it a little bit as far as, a need for it. But when did Stewart Guitar Company come together, and what was kind of the brainchild behind it?
Yeah, it's very interesting that you bring that up, and you'll see kind of where Stewart comes in. There's a gentleman by the name of Woody Stewart that actually came up with this design, to be quite honest with you. So he actually worked on that. This is back far, the mid-'90s, believe it or not, he was working on this. And when I got involved was much later. I was actually looking for a travel instrument. And so I was trying to find that combination of full scale, something that had a full body. It felt like a regular guitar, all these things that we talked about. And I know you alluded to when you did the demo a few days ago. And it was really difficult for me. And I got connected with Woody. He's in the North Carolina area. And he had kind of come up with the design. And it did take me a while to get the guitar. Actually, the manufacturing piece of it was something that he was kind of doing on a custom manner for the most part. So I did get the guitar, and once I got guitar, it was fantastic. And as I was traveling, people were asking about it all the time. So I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I would like to give the history if it's okay.
Sure. Oh,
so
please
what happened?
Please.
Yeah. Okay. So what happened then is there was lots of people that were asking about the instrument. And actually, to be quite frank with you, my wife and I talked about it. We were looking for maybe something to invest in. And I thought, well, maybe we invest in his company, and that way he might have some more ability for inventory to turn stuff over and all that sort of thing. So I approached that with Woody, very, very nice guy, as we talked through it. And as we kind of went through it, he kind of said, I put this together, and I'd love to see the thing launch and move forward in a big way, but I don't know that I want to necessarily build it myself. So he kind of put the offer out there, if you would like the company, maybe we can work something out. And I thought about that. That was a little daunting when he first dropped that on me because I thought I'd be a silent partner to kind of grow the thing. And then I thought about it and I talked it over with family and my wife, and I said, there's a big gap in the market, and I think that this would be something that people would really want to have. So we decided to go forward with it, and that actually we just launched it in October of 2017 as kind of the relaunch.
Wow, so very new.
Yes. So it's been fun, and as I said, I mean, we did a lot of kind of prelim work on it to see kind of how the market acceptance would be, and everything and everyone who I've talked to, is very enthusiastic about it, has really enjoyed looking at it, enjoyed the idea of having an instrument that really could be a performance quality instrument that they could actually take and play somewhere, and at the same time have that portability. So so that's kind of the history of the company. We did spend a lot of time. Woody also was very, very good because as a technical liaison, he helped getting that production piece set so we could actually, get the guitar so it could be mass produced, because that's a key so people can have it in their hands.
Gotcha.
So he helped me with that, and again, homage to him. We talked about it a lot, and he said, "Well, just name it whatever you want to name it." And I said, "You kind of came up with the idea, so I like the idea of keeping your name on the guitar." So that's why it's Stewart in honor of Woody.
Oh, that's cool. Now, where they do you manufacture in the U.S. or overseas?
We do manufacture them overseas.
Okay.
Yeah, they're in South Korea actually. So that's where they come from.
Nothing wrong with that. Keep obviously manufacturing costs can be kept a little bit more affordable.
That's right.
And I have to give a testimony to it right off the get-go as well too. I mean, I have other Korean guitars here as well too. There's nothing wrong with import guitars. There are some other countries that can make some guitars. Sometimes they're a little questionable, but they are very good. They're done to exacting standards. And I find a guitar a very inviting guitar to play. I've mentioned it on the show. I've told you about it as well too. And it's a guitar where, you overlook it sometimes. You're thinking there's no way this can be like a guitar that you're gonna. Sure, it's convenient to take and travel, but it's like, okay, is it gonna actually rock? And it's a fun guitar to play. It's very inviting. It's my living room guitar now that I have out there all the time, so I don't have to come into the studio and grab one. And it's kind of a fight between me and Junior. Who's going to play it? It's like, okay, you done with it? And then, he gets his time on it. And then I'm like, okay, can I have it back? It's a kind of a fight, right? But it's a fun guitar, great quality,
Yeah, well, that's good. I'm glad. And that's kind of a consistent message of everyone who I've heard, from so far. I mean, again, you're right. I mean, there are things you look and you say, can it actually hang, and can it be something that they can utilize? And, I found the same thing when I got it. And that's the thing that really created the, I guess, desire and the passion for me to actually go ahead and launch this company, because the fact of the matter is, as I said, there's not a whole lot of options out there that you can actually, take and plug and play that are, what I would call kind of a real guitar that you're comfortable with.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I've kind of mentioned before too. Like, I don't know all of the travel guitar companies that are out there. I know there's a few, and I've seen some, especially from NAMM and things like that. But a lot of them bunch of them are more of a novelty, I think, where, it's, okay, yes, you can take this and it maybe just be a little chunk and it gives you like 4 frets to play with. And I think once that novelty wears off, you're back to, I wish I had a guitar here to play, So
yeah, exactly.
I think people, if they're going to invest into something like that, first of all, shop the competition to see what's available, and you're aware, and then come back and form your decision by looking at the website, watching some of the videos. At some point, you're probably going to have some artists on there playing them and that as well too, so you can see some of those people. And just for now, the testimonials are great. But it's something that you will play. You could technically, like you and I talked about off the air, in a lot of conversations, it's something you could bring like either your laptop or, a mobile tablet and a little interface, and you could be recording like really in the backpack itself, which we can see behind you. I joked about it the other day. It's not much bigger than a pizza box. A pizza box and a lap and an iPad will fit in there. But take that on out to the beach. Oh, I actually wouldn't want to be recording on the beach with a laptop, whatever. But you know what I'm trying to say. On the go, you could have a full interface all within inside that backpack, and it's fantastic. Exactly. And when we first opened the backpack as well too, I thought it was more of like, I know it's called a backpack, but the handle, I thought it was just a one handle. You've got the actual regular straps as well too on the back, so very, very comfortable. You stow everything away inside that thing. It doesn't weigh much it's like 8 or 9 pounds, I think, when it's broken down. Mm-hmm. Is that about right?
Yeah, 6.8, I think, is actually how
Whoa.
much it weighs.
Okay,
Just
so
the guitar.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
even less. So it's not too bad. Throw a couple
yeah.
accessories in there, and there's enough room for your chords and stuff. So that's fantastic. Well, what do you think is compared to some of the other ones that you know more about, obviously in the travel guitar industry than I do? What are some of the things that you think is a stronger selling feature? And we won't get into the technical aspect of the patented neck system yet. That'll be a section all on its own. But why would someone choose your guitar over some of the other ones that are out there?
Yeah, there's a couple things, and it kind of goes back to the rationale for me actually wanting a guitar in the first place.
Hmm.
First of all, you need a full scale neck. If you're going to use something, I mean, whether you're a professional or whether you're a beginner, if you have a neck that is not full scale, it's just not going to really provide you any benefit of practicing with it at all or playing with it. So that was a must. The negative of that is if you do have a full scale neck, then it becomes kind of cumbersome to travel with.
Hmm.
So the fact that this neck actually comes off and slides into the body of the guitar and makes a footprint that's essentially just the size of the body, that's important because when you're traveling, if you travel on a plane or even a train, or maybe you're a guy that's in an apartment, doesn't have a lot of room, you want to be able to have that thing broken down so that it makes sense. Or if you're on the road and you're traveling and all of your equipment and your guitars are on the trailer and you would like to have a guitar with you to play, you've probably done this a lot. I mean, your guitars and everything goes on the trailer, and then you may go from gig to gig, but you may get sidelined to do some other things that are commercial in nature, whether you're doing talk shows or whether you're doing appearances and all that kind of thing. And now you have to go to the bus, take your guitars out of there, and now you have your luggage and everything else with you. So I'm belaboring a little bit, but for me, the neck scale is a big thing. The other thing for me is that, when you're talking about Stevie Ray Vaughan, and the thing with him is his right hand,
Hmm.
so if your right hand doesn't feel right on the guitar, to me, that's a deal breaker also. And I think this is something very unique on this guitar. Yes, the body is slightly smaller than a Strat body, but it feels like a real body that is comfortable for you. It's bevel on the edge, and I mean, it just feels right to me. And I wanted that. So that's a second feature. And then the third feature, quite honestly, was just to have something that will actually play well, and you get some decent tone out of it where you can be comfortable with what you're doing and you're not just frustrated with playing the instrument. So those are things that I think were really important to me. I wanted portability. I wanted full scale. I wanted something that feels right and it feels comfortable. And then on top of that, I wanted something that actually sounded good.
Yeah.
And and that's what I think for this instrument is really a little bit of a game changer in that you get all those features in one footprint. I think I would, challenge people to go look at other options that are out there and see if they can find all those. And that was my challenge, is that I couldn't do that. And
Right.
what's kind of a cool testimony for me is that I was a user first before I even decided to get involved with the company in a whole. So I felt so strongly about it, and all the people that I talked to that were involved with this or were interested in having one felt the same way. So I would challenge people to get one and check it out, and I think you'll be really impressed.
Good. Now, when you say the body's like obviously I noticed the body's a little smaller too, not much. Would it be considered a 3/4 size body or just a little bit bigger yet than a 3/4?
I think it's a little bigger than a 3/4. The actual rationale for the body being a little bit smaller, quite honestly, is that we have the backpack option. But for those who travel, if you already have business things that maybe you have a bag that you take with all of your computer and other things that you do business in, and you carry that with you all the time. This guitar, when it's folded up, or when it's broken down, I should say, it will actually, with this body, fit into a standard 22-inch overhead carry.
Okay,
without
perfect.
So if it was a full size, body like a Strat, just to use that as a reference, it may be a little hard to get in there. So that was one of the rationales for making it just a tiny bit smaller. And then patent-wise and all that kind of thing, now it's a different body, and that makes it a little easier too.
Well, the cool thing I like about that is I think, not that I want to blame any particular airline, and I won't even use names, but airlines in general, they want to look for an excuse to give you a hard time as far as guitar players. As soon as you're a guitar player, you're like, okay, you're shamed on the airline, and, we're going to stow your guitar out underneath, whatever. So if they see something, if you would have went with a full-size body, that would have been such an easy scapegoat for them to say, nope,
Yeah, exactly. And I'm very well versed at traveling. Not saying that it's anything, but last year, for example, I traveled 180 some thousand miles in the air.
Wow.
So I do have a real good feel on what you can and what you cannot do with things that you take on and when you can't take on. And I can tell you invariably that in those 180,000 miles plus that I went last year, I took a guitar like this one in many cases with me, and never ever had to check it ever.
Nice.
And that's cool that you can take it with you and you're not encumbered with having to take a big travel case with you or worry about fitting it in the front area, or have to buy a first class assignment or something like that to see if you could get it on.
Yeah.
So yeah, so all those things, I have quite a bit of experience in this because I lived through it. So anybody who's out there and wants to travel with it, I guarantee it's a piece of cake.
And it's not like a lot of us can be the Joe Bonamassa of the world and buy a first class seat for the guitar. You know what I mean?
That's right. That's exactly right.
I get a kick out of that. Exactly right. He'll have some vintage Les Pauls and some Tellys and Strats, whatever. And I think he actually gets some wine, their own wine and everything. It's pretty funny. But I've actually seen pictures of you with that guitar. I think it's the red one or maybe the blue one, actually on the plane playing.
Yeah, I do. I had a black one, I believe it is, and I was I was on an overseas trip, and I actually had the fortune of being in a business class assignment on a 777, and in a 777 and a business class assignment and other larger airlines like that. I actually was able to unfold it, and I had a handheld device that I was able to plug in, and I was actually practicing and doing some recording on the plane with my guitar, which was cool.
I love that. And it's funny, I don't use a mobile interface much anymore because now I'm just doing everything here. But I'll show you one here I like. I think I still have it handy. Let me try to grab it. I'm not sure what you use, but this would be perfect for that. Right here, I got it. The Apogee Jam. Have you seen this guy?
I have not. No, that's cool.
Yeah,
very nice. Yeah,
and
very
what's cool
nice
about
footprint.
this, it only works for a Mac as far as if you're going to use it for a computer, but it will interface with the iPad as well too. So it comes with both adapters. I think they're somewhere around $150. But I've used other things too as well, and I won't name them just because I wasn't happy with them. I don't want to slam the product. But this thing I think works really, really well. So you stick that in that backpack, travel with anything from like positive grids, bias effects, and all those kind of things, Jam Up Pro, anything like that. That guitar, and you got a studio.
Yeah, you're ready to go. And if you're staying someplace, I find sometimes when I'm on the road, I have less distractions in the hotel room at night than I might have when I'm at home, sometimes just not a bad way, but I'm just saying that. And there were so many times when I'd be in the room and I'd be saying like, man, if I could just have a guitar with me, there's so many things I'd like to work on or like to do unencumbered, whether it be writing or whether it be some song that you always kind of wanted to maybe tweak a little bit, some of the parts that you wanted to go through. And it gives you that opportunity to do that. And it's just really, really cool. Even if you're on a vacation and you're wanting to do things that, you might have a group that you're with or something like that, and people are getting ready. And there you are, you're kind of noodling around your guitar while you're waiting for people to get ready. And I do that all the time. It's just really nice.
It is. And, the minute I got it, we unpacked it here. We didn't want to set it up right away, especially live. Junior and I unboxed it, as you saw. And I had, I'm going to skip past the unboxing video because once I got to the final spot where I wanted to actually play the thing, in my mind, I wanted to find some faults with it. And I'm going to say the reason for this might sound silly, but I was like, okay, this can't be a fun guitar. This can't be the perfect guitar to play because it's a travel guitar. Something has to be sacrificed here.
Right.
And I'm telling you, to be honest with you, going through this, survey of kind of a checklist of myself, a mental checklist. Okay, let's see how the action feels. Let's see how quick it is. And thinking, okay, with this neck system that we're going to talk about in a second, a patented neck clip system, like, okay, that can't be like screwing 4 bolts and into the back of a neck and holding it down, and this and that. The pickups can't be as good as blah blah blah. Something has to give. And everything I had as a mental obstacle in my mind was cleared step by step by step. Putting the neck on, once I figured out how to do that, no problem. Pickups from all 5 positions of a nice, Strat style 5-way pickup selecting system, beautiful. The feel was good. Action was the action was just a tiny higher than I go, but you got to remember my guitars, and that's not a bad thing. It's actually making me play a little better. My guitars are so stupid low that they're anyone plays them, it's like buzz 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 buzz, and I know how to baby it a little bit. Where it's like I've always used this analogy before, where us as youngsters driving our first stick shift cars, and we burn the clutch out, and only you and I know how to drive our car. Our buddy drives our car, and they pop the clutch and they whatever blah blah blah. So same thing with our guitars. When you're fretting out, we know how far we can go before that danger zone is there. So the action is just a tiny bit higher, not in the danger zone whatsoever, and it's making me play. It's making me work a little bit, which is good, and that's a good thing when the guitar, instead of being just, it's I contribute. I actually say it's a little bit like the Junior's Eastwood Airline that he just got. Action's just a little higher, but also too, it ships with 10 gauge strings on it, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that's something that I probably should have asked you, because I'm a 9 guy also.
Me too.
So
Yeah,
when you put 9s on it, it makes a big difference. But a lot of guys like 10s, so I usually ship with 10s, and I should have asked you that actually.
No,
So
it's okay. It's okay. I like it though, and even though I am a 9 gauge player, I'm not gonna go to 9s on it. I like it for the string tension on that guitar. I think I will always stay 10, so I will always favor that guitar with a certain brand of string and a certain gauge because of that, just because I think it works for that guitar.
Yeah. And there is something to be said for that. If you have just a little bit of extra attention to your playing, then that's a good thing, because it's actually helping you in your overall playing as opposed to hindering you.
It has. Your guitar has done that, and something that's not a competitor but a different guitar altogether is, like I said, the Eastwood Airline that Junior got, and it's a vintage style guitar. And it's made me be conscious. I guess it's not making me better. I mean, I need room for improvement. Huge. It's just making me conscious of my playing. And it's
Right.
it makes you think. Okay, you can't just slip and slide all over the place. It's a little bit more attention to detail. So I like that a lot, and that's, I think, the reason why I'm playing it out there as much as I am, because every time I play it, it's making me focus, and it's a heck of a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, good. I appreciate that. Very nice testimony.
Thank you.
Yeah. But it has been a lot of fun, and again, as I said, it's funny how I told you that I was out at NAMM last week, and it was amazing to see people's reaction when they see the neck come off, because since the neck does cantilever, that's another thing too that I failed to mention earlier, is that there's some other ones out there that actually have a folding, or they have some other types of things going on with the neck. But this neck actually cantilevers over the body just like you would normally feel. So the feel of it is just identical to what you're used to, and those are the things that I think really have impressed people when they look at it and they pick it up. And I think personally for me, I like the neck on it too. The neck is pretty nice, it's been, I've been real happy with the way that's come out, and we have some different colors now that we're offering, and it's a lot of fun.
Well, it's actually kind of cool. Now's the perfect time to talk about the clip joint neck system, which is patented. But actually, in some ways, it has some things that are kind of better than traditional guitar manufacturing, because with the I'm not sure the actual steel alloy, what type is the metal that's in the plate underneath the neck.
It's just a regular steel.
Okay,
is
steel.
what it is, like a stainless steel.
So that alone
like a
is
318 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's very, very solid. So let's talk about that. So obviously, probably when Stewart was manufacturing the first prototypes and things like that, I'm sure there was probably many different steps he went through. So tell us how, maybe if you know this information from Stewart, how that came to fruition, and then what it is now. It's patented now, and if you're able to, maybe demonstrate how it comes apart and such.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that.
Okay.
I know he had a number of iterations. The tuning mechanism and the way this all comes together was something that was a number of iterations for, because these tuners are custom, and as well as this clip joint system that we'll talk about more. But the bottom line on it was that he wanted something where he could take the guitar apart and put it together. So he had a number of different options that he was looking at, and then finally he came up with an option where this clip joint, and I'll show how it goes together and goes apart, but it actually is a C type shape, and it slides over that body. And then on the bottom side of it, obviously, Erica, like you were talking about, it is stainless steel, so it's metal. It doesn't move anywhere. And then there's a receiver plate on the neck itself. The neck's a little bit routed out, I'll show as well. And it is also stainless steel, and there's 8 screws, and I mean, they're embedded into that. It has a truss rod in it that you can adjust just like any other guitar that you would have. And quite honestly, when it's on there, you can do bends on the neck. You could bend the neck and it'll still stay in tune. So I mean, it's solid once it's on there. But if you want me to take it apart and show how it show it goes together?
Yeah,
I'm going to swing the mic apart here, but I'll show you.
Yeah.
You can probably still hear me a little bit. But
yes, we can.
But anyway, there's these two and you named it right. These are like kind of thumb screws, if you will.
Yep.
and these thumb screws. So you put a little tension on here. I usually turn it around this way, and I'll put some tension on the neck, and then these just loosen up. So I just loosened these up is all I did, and they come loose like this. And then there's this clip. It's not going to just fly off. That was part of the design, that he wanted to make sure that when you take it off, that the neck just is going to fly off on the floor. Yeah. So then you put a little tension on, and you pull the neck off just like that. It's so easy. And when you're done, obviously. You just slide it right here into the body of the guitar, and you kind of guide the strings off. And as I showed before, here's the actual clip that holds that on. There's the 2 thumb screws and this metal piece. Can
you lift up just a little bit, just a couple?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. Maybe you can see better. Yep. So anyway, there is the actual metal part and this clip that goes on there to hold the neck in place, and this is all metal. So when you go to put the guitar back together, obviously just the opposite direction. I will show a little bit of the back of the neck so you can see that as well. And you can see here on the neck the 10 screws that hold that in place. This is routed out a little bit for the clip, and it is not going anywhere, I assure you. So that's right. In the opposite case, you just take it and set it into the pocket here, and just push it in place and tighten it up, and you're ready to go. That's it. And I just think it's a very elegant solution for a problem that has been there for a long time. So yeah, really cool. So hopefully it gives you an idea.
It fits in there so perfect, and it's solid as all heck. And I've adjusted the truss rod already on mine too, because obviously coming from your area to here in Canada, it went through some extremes in temperature, and you know what that can do to a guitar. But the neck quality itself, like the maple, is it like a rock maple? The
neck, you mean?
Yeah,
exactly. And then it has the actual it's quote unquote the fingerboard is a rosewood, but it's not an official rosewood, because Brazilian rosewood is a endangered wood. So we have to have alternatives to make sure. So it's a different type of wood, but it feels and looks just like rosewood. So it's really great, and that's one great thing too about having the neck disconnect is if you do want to do adjustments, whether it be on the action from the bridge side or whether it be from the neck, you don't have to destring the whole guitar. Because you can just take the neck off, make the adjustment, and snap it back on, and see where and if it's off a little bit, take it off and put it back on, which is really cool.
I like that.
The other thing that might be worth noting on it is that these are Graphtec saddles that are on here, the Graphtec saddles, and that helps on the tone. It also is a good enhancement because as the strings go down underneath to the tuner, it gives it a little better friction. The resistance is not as great as it would be if it was just a standard metal saddle. So I like the tone aspect of it. I like how they work really well. In fact, I think they call these like string savers or something.
Yeah,
but
I've heard that. Right.
But it's just a great setup. It works really well, and I'm real happy with it.
Good. Over in the chat, there's a few people asking some questions, and one of the first ones was from FNF Gamers. He's mentioning that there's no left-handed guitars at the moment. Plans for that?
They can be made, and we actually there has been some made. So if that's something that you need, and there's a demand for those, we can certainly make it. You got to flip the body. The neck and everything is the same. You just got to flip the body around. So it is possible.
Okay, that's good.
That's a good question. Very good question.
Good one, FNF. And Bobby Clipper was about to ask a question, but you answered. He says I was going to ask how long for breakdown and reassemble, and that's pretty awesome. As you were talking, and it was done in 30 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. It's real easy. And you do have to do a little bit of an adjustment of tuning, obviously, when you break it down and put it back together as you did on the show. But, I've had guitars where I go from set one and I tuned it and I go and, talk to some people and go back and I check and I go, gosh, it's out a little bit now. Humidity changes in the room and all that sort of thing as well. So nothing uncommon. And once you kind of put it in place, I think it stays in tune just as well as any other traditional guitar.
Oh, I agree with you for sure. Setup is very, very quick. And I like the fact how when you mentioned about, so if you didn't have the little clip, when you're taking off the 2 thumb screws, it could fall. And another thing that I think people don't take into consideration is not only could you drop the neck, whatever, but if the neck was just to fly off, it could damage the body of the guitar, that'd be a real shame too. You get this new guitar, you take off the neck, and all of a sudden, boom, you got a chip in the finish. So that kind of saves you as well too. And it's very easy. It's almost like a Pez dispenser on the back. You take off those thumb screws, you just push some pressure on it, and like that. And it's. I know you encourage this, and I'm going to encourage it as well too. Read the manual. None of us are good for reading manuals. We always get stuff, and it's like, okay, why isn't this working? And I was like talking to Junior, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I can't figure it out. And he goes, "Did you read the manual?" So I go on the website, which is under the frequently asked questions. And the website, by the way, is in the link in the description down below. But read the description, familiarize yourself with it. Wouldn't be a bad idea to watch the video. And now as well, too, when this video is done, I will put a little timestamp that will show when you took it apart, and people can watch it here as well, too, to see how you did it. And it's very, very simple. Once you've done it once, you get it secondhand. You've done it so many times that you could do it with your eyes closed. But it is quite simple. Yeah,
you get used to it very easily, and that's why we encourage people. We just don't want people to, be intimidated by it in any regard. And once you see it, it's really easy. And as I said, this clip that you were talking about, it's almost like a quick release, if you will. Yeah. And it really works out well.
Another misconception people what we want to discourage people from doing as well too. And you get some of these guys that, okay, well, maybe tighter is better, so I'm going to get some vice grips and I'm going to crank those things. Do not do that. The way I described it, I think I described it this way on the show the last time I did the demo playing, was I put them in finger tight. And then obviously I'll adjust just the tension on the neck, so I make sure, because once you hold the neck a certain way, you can actually tighten them a little bit more. But I just go finger tight, and then just like about a eighth of a turn, and then you can. It's perfect. Action is good, and then when you go to release it, hold the pressure on the neck the appropriate way, and you don't need pliers or anything of the sort. If you need pliers, you've done it too tight, and you're going to cause some damage.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why, obviously, you want the neck to be all the way down so you can put some pressure on it like I was doing. But you're right. It does not need to be very tight. And that's the idea, is that you want it to be, once it's down, like you were talking about, it doesn't move then. It's in place. And you're right. Yeah. Do not use any kind of tool on it or anything like that. That's not necessary.
Right. Now, just in theory, I'm thinking if you were to tighten up like the second thumb screw first, which is closer to the top of the guitar, that would raise the bridge or the back end of the neck up, causing fret buzz. Should you always start with the bottom one first and the top one, or does it really matter to you?
It doesn't really matter. I think typically, just because it's closer to the bridge, I usually do the bridge one first.
Okay.
And then as I'm pushing down the neck, just because it's closer to the end of the neck, I'll pull it down and do the second one. But and I think I do the same thing in the reverse order.
Okay.
But I don't think it truly matters which one it is. Just as long as
it's a good seat.
Don't over tighten them. Yeah, and you get a good seat. And as I said, once it's on there, it really is quite tight.
Good. Okay. Good. A couple other people jumping in as well too. David Ennis is saying, "Hi guys," in Poison. And actually, Jack Shea Martin says it looks like a Strat and Steinberger combined. Yeah, it's a kind of a combo of both. Quentin James is here saying, "Hey all." Billy Shelton, "Hey Eric." Don Shepard, "Hey Eric, I lost track of time." Jared Frost, your friend, my friend, it's here, and he's listening at work. I'm not sure if I should say that. He's listening. He's not watching at work. He's listening at work. So I think he's still being productive. So the boss can't get mad at him. No problem. And I hope you have fun when you guys get together. Jeff Monroe, he couldn't see the guitar, so I had to lift it up a little bit, so that's good. And you're okay. You're okay now. So, Bobby Clipper was asking about the breakdown, so he's got the answer to that. And so, Jared, thank you for listening in from work. So let's share a little bit. Actually, a lot of this information can be found at your website as well, too, at stewartguitars.com. But tell us a little bit about the feedback now from customers. I've been seeing you share some things, some happy people that are smiling with their new guitar, but what's been the general consensus?
Yeah, everybody that I have talked to so far has just loved it, and I think it solved the problem that I was talking about earlier. Our vision for the company is to be able to put these guitars in people's hands so they can never be without their instrument. And I know that sounds kind of straightforward, but really it is difficult sometimes. Mm-hmm. So everybody that's got it so far has loved it. They immediately are able to start playing it and start having fun with it, and be in a position where, they're not without their instrument when they travel somewhere. And that was really the bottom line. In fact, there was actually a couple people that have been waiting for a while for the instrument to be released, and just very elated to get them. And we've done a couple special colors I have in the background. There's the Cherry Sunburst that we have, kind of a limited edition that you can see. And then there's also the Electric Blue that's kind of a new color that we introduced. And people have really enjoyed those. In fact, there's some guys that are in the pilots that a lot of pilots are guitar players, but then they have trouble taking their guitars with them, So,
yeah.
So a pilot, he was actually doing some very ingenious things, taking guitars and modifying them in some regard, but he still had this really big footprint. So he's excited about getting a Stow-Away that he can use for himself. And so really, I think one friend of mine in the Boston area that got one probably a month and a half or so ago. Is he said, he said every guitar player this is his quote, every guitar player on the planet should have one of these. And I think I agree to a certain degree. If you have a number of guitars in your collection and you do travel at all anywhere, or you have any kind of constraint where there's some limitations of space, why would you not have one of these in your arsenal? Mm-hmm. And that's where I think he was coming from. And he actually, has some portable type amplification stuff. And he said, it's fantastic. He goes, I take it to my place in North Carolina. He's actually up in the Boston area, and he has a place in North Carolina, and he'll take it with him and fly down there. And then he has his little amp that goes to his clip that runs on batteries, and he's walking around the house kind of playing his guitar. He said, it's just phenomenal. So I talked to him, and he kind of said the comment. I said, well, I'm really glad you like the guitar. He says, Jim, he goes, let me tell you something. He goes, I do not really like this guitar. He goes, I love it. He said, it is phenomenal. So all the feedback has been very, very positive so far. As I said, I encourage people to get one and try it out. I think you'll be really, really pleased.
And the cool thing is, too, and I agree with that, and even as much as I know you'd like people playing them at home and, maybe it could be one of your main guitars, that's not necessarily the goal. The goal is you are still continuing on with your passion when you're mobile, either on the way to your destination or at your destination, maybe some break time in between meetings and things like that on a or work vacation. But I think maybe a cool thing was to pack up the guitar, have it ready to go, and have it next to your luggage at all times. If you're not going to play it at home, if it's not your home guitar, have it packed up, ready to go with your little travel kit, a cord, interface, whatever it is you're going to put in there, a tuner. And when you grab your luggage, you pack your luggage, you grab your travel bag, and you've got it. You've got it with you every single time.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of what I do. I mean, quite honestly, when I do gigs in Dallas and I'm playing, I mean, I do play it some because I like to show people. And, on several events that I've done recently, I have used it. But in most cases, I have my, main guitars that I use. So, I mean, and I expect that people are going to do that as well. They're going to have their main guitars and their favorites when they go gigging in their local town. Yeah, that's what they're going to use. But you could use it if you wanted to, but more to your point is that it allows you to have something in those times when you can't really, or you don't want to take your main guitar with you. You might have a tricked out, guitar that is a Wolfgang or something like that, and maybe you even put hot pickups in it, and you put FH stuff in it, and all this stuff, and you don't want that on a plane and somebody break the neck off of it. So why not take something like this that you're going to be able to have and play?
That's right. Yeah, there's no risk now at that point. Jared is saying he can't wait to play one, and I think one thing he's going to like about this too, he's very, very much like myself, like all these guys who are the Van Halen guys. We all play almost the exact same guitar, whether it's it's Eddie's personal brand or it's made to be one like his. And it's the Floyd Rose and this, and we're all stuck in this. It's a cool thing it's a cool hobby to be in, but Jared's gonna like it when he feels the guitar for the first time and plays it. It's gonna make him think a little differently, and it's gonna improve him. Not that he needs it, but he's gonna have a sense of consciousness. Like that's the word I was looking for. I was saying earlier. You're definitely gonna like it, Jared. I can't wait to get one in your hands. Sean Zimmerman is here as well too, saying hey, also jumping in, catching the show. Chris Jones. So let's talk about the options. This is one thing that's really cool too as well. So you go to the website stewartguitars.com and you can choose from the models, and then you can base it. You can choose tell us about the pick guards, pickups, all that kind of thing, colors.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, it is a travel instrument, but I thought that there's certain features that people are going to want. And like for yourself, you can put a humbucker in the bridge. You can actually, it's all constructed so you can either do SSS or you can do HSS or HSH if you'd like. So, whatever configuration that you would like, you can do that way. Different colors, obviously. We have the red, we have the cherry sunburst in limited edition, the electric blue, black, and then the tobacco sunburst, which I think is of all the colors, that tobacco is just really pretty. I really like that. And then you can either do this one is kind of a little bit of a hybrid, since the Stewart logo is a little bit of the aged kind of cream. I have aged cream pickup covers on it, but then it has the actual pearl pick guard. So you can add a pearl pick guard if you would like to add a little pizzazz to it. On the black one that I have in the background, you can see it in the blue one, and it adds a little pop to it. And a lot of people like that. I happen to like that too. So, but on the tobacco or the standard, the cherry sunburst, a lot of guys have really, and gals for that matter, have really enjoyed having the aged cream look. And you commented about that too. So
Yep.
you can have it, a number of different ways. And if there's something special that you want, let me know, and we can try to arrange to do something like that. But in general, you either have the aged cream pickups on the bursts, and then you can either have the white or you can have the sunburst or not sunburst, but the pearl pick guard as well. And then the pickup configurations are also something that you can elect to take if you want.
I like that. Yeah, it's very easy. It's very easy to customize. And when you sent me the one that I have here, as soon as I had the option of colors, I was like, you know what? I see all the colors, and I mean, I've got a bunch of black guitars. I've got a bunch of, I don't necessarily have any red guitars. I've got some red striped guitars, but I don't have any.
I see one right in the background.
I know,
Yeah,
that's right. But to me, I've had several USA Strats over the years and some Mexican ones and things like that as well too. I never had a Fender, the traditional tobacco burst, whatever you want to call it. I never had one of those, but I had a copy as a kid that was, I don't even know if the company was Canadian, but they were sold here in Canada. It was called Profile. And it was my first real guitar that I had that was at least a player. And it was that finish and, typical, of that nature of the S style. And I thought when I had the option to get one from you, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go with that color just because it speaks to me. And I think it looks nice with the aged cream, like you mentioned, the matching pickups. It just suits that guitar tremendously. And, it would look cool as well with Perloid, but I'm really happy with that look. And it really suits it very well. And it's rich looking.
Yeah, I'm glad you like it. It seems like from the folks that have bought guitars, that has been kind of the most popular setup actually with the Tobacco Sunburst. I got one sitting here that I'll maybe put this one down,
Sure.
and then maybe even you can play yours and maybe show it.
Yeah, I can. I've got it hooked right into the Helix right now, so I can probably do that. 1 second here.
But this is similar to yours, except for now this doesn't have the humbuckers in it. But see, this is the Tobacco Sunburst, of course.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, I think they're just really pretty. It's kind of that classic look, It feels classic, It's like that classic Corvette maybe or something,
I'm just gonna switch over to some other headphones. I'll grab my guitar and I'll run it through the Helix.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, I think people are surprised when they hear the tone of the instrument. Early on when we first launched, there was a couple guys that came on and they were kind of. And rightly so, asking some of these things. So that's why it's great that you have it there, that you can kind of plug it in and people can hear. And when you go on our website too, I have some demo stuff. I mean, nothing fantastic as far as eruption solos or anything like that, but you definitely can hear the overall tone. If you want a heavy crunch, if you want something that's kind of a open kind of chords that give that kind of beautiful sound to picking and what have you, or that kind of overdrivey thing like a Stevie Ray Vaughan deal. So I think it's really, really pretty versatile for a guitar.
I think so as well too. And you're before I play anything here, another good comment too. Let me see who was singing about white. Prayan Joni says hoping they one day they make one in white. I'm assuming that could be done.
Yes, it could.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Yeah, very cool.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing too. We see that too with other manufacturers. It's hard to make something in every color, at least and to have them in surplus ready to go. Just because you think maybe green is going to be the hot color, and then someone wants one in yellow. But it's nice the fact that you can at least discuss with the customer that if you want a white or an that kind of thing, we'll discuss it and make that available.
Exactly.
So that's cool. All right, let me see. I think I'm in tune. Okay, not too bad. Okay, I'll pop on the Helix.
Okay, cool.
It's one of the nice things about here. At least I can keep it in a controlled environment. It's not too loud. So I'm on the humbucker position right now. Probably getting a little bit of string clack from the microphone here. I can probably turn that off.
Yeah.
I'll go over to a clean patch and show you what these pickups can really do. It's really, really nice. Beautiful. it's up in the 4th position. That's one of my favorite positions on a Strat style guitar. And now my patch for the Helix here, I'm overloading it a little tiny bit. These pickups are quite hot. That's one thing I have to give you a testament on too as well. Like people think, okay, well they can't be a really hot output pickup. They're nice. That's really nice and clean. I like it.
A little bit of overdrive. Sounds nice. Yeah.
Yeah. That's nice. It's a fun guitar to play. You'll play it. You'll play it and you'll play it again and you'll play it again. And listen, I'll do one more, just a little riff, and actually I'm just going to hit a chord. I want you to hear the sustain on this thing. And actually, you know what? I have my volume down too. Go for a bite, come back. She's still singing. So there's no lack of gain, sustain. It's a fun guitar, and I'll just lift mine up for people that are watching for the first time today. As far as this one, I hadn't seen this one. There it is, right there. It's a beautiful guitar. I love this thing to death. Like you said, the Graphtec saddles, very nice. So that'll kind of help eliminate, break at the saddle. It's also nice going through to the back of the tuning system. Now, here's one thing I've encountered a couple times. It's probably just a novice like myself. When I've taken the neck off sometimes, if I let the string tension go too far, I've noticed maybe once in a while, maybe the A string or something like that will slip out. So all I've had to do is just tuck the string back in the ball, and I'm right back in business.
Yeah, right. One thing that I try to do, and I might not have done that in your case, is if you can get that the string holder, as we call it, is far enough in. So in that case, maybe what happened was that when the strings got put on there, I tightened it down, and then when it got into tune, it wasn't far enough in. So what you can do on that is if you loosen up the nut and you just tighten it a little bit, let it slip a little bit essentially,
yep,
and then tighten it back up, and then that way it won't back out, so that can come out of the eyelet of the string holder, I guess.
Gotcha.
But yeah, but if that happens, it's not a big deal. It's just that hook it back in, and it's all good.
Yeah, it only took me a second. I was wondering, I was like, what happened? I noticed I had a whole lot of extra A string now. And I was like, okay, I did something wrong. So I looked back there. I loosened off the tension, so it slid forward, popped it in, just like a little hook, and tightened it back up, and I was back in business in seconds. So that's cool. Now, here, let's talk about actually changing the strings. Now, knock on wood, I have not broke a string yet, which is probably because I'm playing 10s. If it was 9s, maybe it's a chance I might have broke a string. But let's say we break strings. Now, I'm going to try to show the headstock, or I call it the headstock. But okay, so Allen keys up here, and they all come with them. So what do? You pull the string through, tighten it down, and then clip it off?
Yeah, that's exactly right. The head piece, as we call it, it's like the headstock. You can see here the strings come through. So you loosen each one of these. It'd be like a Floyd Rose locking system, kind of like you were talking about, except for their individual Allens that tighten down on the screws. You loosen those up. They should pull out. If you would ever have a problem where you have trouble getting it out, pull the string through, because sometimes it may flatten it a little bit. So you can just cut the end off to get a clean end. Pull it out. Pull a new string in and tighten it down, of course. I a lot of times will leave the strings hang out until I get it tuned a little bit, and then clip them off. And then if you look on the video, the video shows that I do an E string. Of course, they're all kind of the same. Tension on the E string and the B, you might need to torque it down a little bit more than some of the other strings just to make sure it doesn't slip, just like a Floyd Rose. The only other thing that I tell, just from a safety standpoint, it's kind of funky, and I remember Junior was talking about this, that popsicle that I had in there. The only reason I put that in there is that so you can kind of push these strings up into the cavity of the headpiece. Okay. So when you put your your fingers on the back of it, you don't, maybe cut yourself or whatever. I mean, any guitar headstock, you have them hanging out like that, so you have to be careful. But I just stress to people to, because if you grab up here by the headstock anywhere and you want to cut yourself. But very, very straightforward. The strings go right through and they come right out. There's no wrapping. Obviously, you use regular strings that have a ball on the end of them. You don't have to have, double ball strings or any kind of special strings. So whatever is your favorite string that you love to use, will work perfectly on these with no problems.
Yeah, you'll continue to use whatever strings. I did not know what that stick was for. I was like, okay, I'm not sure. I don't even want to ask. I almost felt dumb to ask you what that popsicle stick was for, but that makes sense because,
that's what that's in there for. Yeah.
Yeah, because I can actually put my hand over here right now, and there's nothing worse that hurts than a guitar string in the finger. That hurts like a son of a gun. And be careful with that. That's just kind of user caution, because that you're at a gig or something like that, and you pick your finger with one of these with a string, you're going to be kind of like moaning like a little baby for a few minutes. But good tips there for sure. Use whatever strings you want. What is the size, in case people want to have? It's always nice to have extra Allen wrenches, because you lose with that Allen wrench at a gig, and then and you break a string, you're stuck. What size is the wrench up at the top?
I think it's a 3.5 millimeter.
Okay.
I have to check that on you. I'm not exactly sure.
No problem. But we can find out.
But yeah. But I'll tell you what a good thing to have that I have in my gig bag is I have one of those
multi.
It's a multi Allen wrench deal because I have Floyd Rose on my Fender and some of my other guitars that I have. So I just have that in my gig bag, and that might be something. Yeah, I mean, you can get those at one of your utility hardware shops or Home Depot, Lowe's, or whatever other things that you have like that for $8 or $10, and you stick that in your bag, and it will have that size in it.
Yeah, that's good.
It's a standard size. Yeah.
And it's not a bad idea to look for one that's in imperial and metric measurements, because you always find when you're used to metric all the time, and then you go to do something else on, it might be another guitar or something else. It's like, oh, this one doesn't fit. So having a little bit of both is good to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we put those wrenches in there for you, obviously, so you can do those adjustments. But if you would lose it or something like that, that's an easy way to fix it. Or, let us know and we can get you another one.
Nice. Okay, that's good to know for sure.
Yeah.
So a lot of people commenting on the tone. They're really enjoying the tone. And it's a cool thing. It's like, this is one of the things that is not a gimmick. We've used, some of us, we have guitar things that can be novelty items, and, it could be like a toy, like a travel amplifier, or a little, actually they're not even travel amplifiers, but just little gimmicks, and the novelty is there, but the novelty wears off almost immediately. This is something that is I don't want to call it a novelty. It's a luxury type of a musical instrument that you're gonna use, and you'll be surprised how much you will use it. Like, I don't travel that much. I work from home, so I don't leave unless I'm shopping or whatever. So I don't have a need for the travel guitar. I play the guitar a lot. I play it as much as these other ones. I've done it a couple times on the show already now too, and it's inspiring. So it's not just you don't necessarily need it for travel, but when you go to travel, you're going to have that guitar.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it has that versatility. It's just an option or a feature that the guitar has that none of your other guitars have that option. And that was exactly what I was looking for. And again, back in my history, I was taking lessons from a guy that was a very, high-end player that, knew all these different genres, and he was helping me with my proficiency in playing. And the problem that I had was when I would travel and I'd come back to the lesson, I was gone that week, I'd come in cold. So I was essentially retarded that week of the lesson or what have you. And I'd come in and, I was holding my head down because, I really wanted to go do the practice and do the work to get there, but I wasn't able to do it. So now that I always have this with me, the only excuse is, on my side, not because I don't have an instrument,
That's right.
There was a lot of times that I would hang out in Guitar Center or a place like that, and till they kicked me out, in the evening. But that isn't real good either, because you really can't do what you want to do normally. You're wanting to do a lot of other type of playing.
I agree. So. There's a question from Sean Zimmerman. Actually, two good technical questions. First, we'll ask the scale length, 25.5. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay. And his other question is, what's the retail? So mine is a particular one that's slightly more expensive just because of the humbucker. But let's talk about base price, and then with pickguard and things like that.
Yeah, the base price is $679. That would be for the standard pickguard, standard SSS pickup, and any of the colors actually. Mm-hmm. That's $679. If you want to have a pearl pickguard arm, that's a $50 upcharge. And then if you want to have the humbucker, that was $100 upcharge. So the way yours was set, it was $779 essentially.
Perfect.
The one thing I will say while I have this opportunity is that we do have a code here that if you're watching the show today, in appreciation for that and for Eric and everything that he's done here, if you go to our website and you put that code EVH 2018, you'll get a discount of $50 off your guitar.
Well, that's fantastic. So look at it this way. If you really like that Pearlite pickguard, you get that for free or however you want to look at it.
Exactly.
Oh,
exactly.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool. How long will you run that for? Can I put that on the on YouTube and tell people for a little bit?
Yeah. Yeah, go do that. I mean, we could do that for, a couple months if you want to.
All right, I'll do that.
I'm open to that. Yeah.
I'll do that. It'll be nice for you too to measure as well too. You see people coming in using that code, and it's nice. Okay, good. They saw that from Eric's show, so I'll do that through my social media as well too.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, that'd be great. I would appreciate that. And as people are watching and the interest that they have, why not give them that little incentive because they spent the time to talk to us?
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Richard Henry's jumping in as well too, saying, "Hey guys." Now here's something funny. I thought this was kind of unique. I was talking on the show. I said I just want to double check my tuning, and I was going to use a headstock tuner. I've just got one of these little Daddario guys, and people are kind of looking at me like, "Okay, Eric, you do realize that there's no headstock on that guitar, right?" And
Yep.
you go ahead and tell your theory on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I had the same, I guess, thoughts as that. I was thinking like, should I have a built-in tuner somewhere in there for it and all that sort of thing. And everybody uses these clip-on ones now because, you can do it without having to be plugged in. Or, I mean, everybody has bypasses on their amps and all that anyway, but they're just so convenient. And I do a lot of gigs where I sit in, and sometimes I'll just have a pedal board that I use and somebody else's rig is up there. You sit in and play 4 or 5 songs and then at somebody else's show. And it's really nice having a tuner, for yourself. So when I do these gigs out of town and I take my guitar with me, they work just like a champ. It's absolutely perfect. I'm looking at mine right now, and my E was in, my B is just a little flat when I took it apart, but it's a piece of cake. They work great.
Yeah.
Just like they would on any other guitar.
I used mine just moments before going live. But like I was telling you, I want to make sure I was in tune if I was going to be doing any playing. And it works perfect. The vibration is the same deal as using a headstock. And that's another thing I want to give a testament to the tuners. These tuners are as precise can be, even more like millimeters more accurate than even fine tuners on a Floyd Rose. They're very, very accurate. My first initial thoughts were, I'm going to have to crank this thing. I've never used this style of a tuner before in my entire life. So I thought I was going to have to crank them to even get like a semitone, and it's very precise. Now, me being a novice, this is where I think some people may be a novice at this for their first little bit. It's kind of the learning curve. You don't think there's a learning curve with the guitar, but there is. I find sometimes when I'm tuning the guitar, if I'm kind of looking at the string, hit a G string and I'm going to tune, I don't know exactly where that is yet. Now, you're probably better at it, but I just kind of feel, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, I found it, and then I get it. And sometimes I've actually even looked back. I'm not ashamed to admit that. But after you do it enough of times, you just reach back there, and it'll be just like tuning your keys up here that you normally would do.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it is a little different, and the pitch between the different string tuners is finer than what it would be if you had a headstock tuner, even if it's an inline like a Fender or 3 on one side and 3 on the other side. But yeah, you get used to it, and it's such a subtle thing to kind of deal with that it's not that big of a deal.
No,
but you're right. But you're right. It takes a little bit of getting used to. There's no question about that. But I thought the same thing, and I was really surprised and happy on how easy you could kind of do that. And with that in mind, the range of these, you mentioned this when you did the demo on it, the range in these, if you are a blues guy, or if you want to do a drop D tuning, or you want to do some other alternate tunings, dadgad or whatever, you can do that. There's enough range in here that you can certainly do these different tunings, so that's not a problem either.
You know what? I'm going to do this, and this is where sometimes I like doing live demos because you can either fall flat on your face or it's a success, and I anticipate this to be a success. I'm not going to play again, but I just want to because I like to do a lot of drop D stuff, and the convenience with the D tuner, it's a flick of a switch.
That's really nice.
But I'm going to try this for a second. I'll put it back through the amplifier just for a second so you can hear just a little bit, and let's get rid of as much delay as possible. Okay. All right, so I'm going to. That was nuts. It was easy.
Yeah.
I'll go back up. Pretty simple. I'm sold. I haven't done that. And here again too. It's sometimes as much as you might be jumping into the fire. I did it live for the first time, and it's perfect. I had all kinds of range. I could have did some stupid stuff with that.
Yeah. That's what I like too. I mean, obviously that was one of the considerations when we designed that we wanted to make sure that you had that ability, because there's so many different kind of tuning styles in there that you would hate to be limited in any regard. In fact, sometimes actually I have a locking system Floyd Rose on my Strat, and actually, to be honest with you, there's been a couple times where I've had this guitar with me, and somebody wanted to do an alternate tuning, and I would have had to block my Floyd Rose to get it to the tuning that they wanted. Somebody wanted to actually tune. We were playing a song, and the way the vocals were set up, it was a little bit right on the range, the peak of the person's range. So they wanted to tune down a half step, and I couldn't do it on my Fender.
No.
So I had to. So I used this, and I just tuned it down, and it was a piece of cake. So that was actually more versatile than mine with a locking system in it.
Yeah, and God forbid if you're using a locking system with a floating trem. You know what I mean? Because you spend forever getting it to the exact point where it's perfect. Even most of my guitars, I have many of the Wolfgang style guitars, and they're all Floyd equipped except for one. Yeah, one. So the one is my traditional standard tuning, because us Van Halen fans like to be down half a step. So even tuning from the way my spring tension is set, everything on all my Floyd guitars, if I was to tune one of those guitars to standard pitch, my Floyd might start to float a little bit, because I have it right on the brink of not floating. It's solid, but if I tune the tuning, it's going to float, and I don't want that. So this thing is what you go to grab in a pinch, and it's you've got it right away. Easy, tuning stability. Here's a question here, because I didn't know the answer to this. Now you have on the website you have a couple of guitars, and Jerome Fear saying the Roadrunner has a headstock that looks a bit like the Paul Reed Smith style. Now the Roadrunner is currently unavailable. Is that something you're discontinuing, or is it just?
Yeah, we will probably introduce that again, basically based on market acceptance.
Yeah.
Because if we go to produce some of those, I would like to have some volume to be able to produce those. But it is available. The actual system to actually lock the neck in place is identical.
Okay.
Just as you said, it has a headstock on it. The difference also is that the body is not hollow, so you can actually put the neck into the body.
Gotcha.
So you kind of take the neck and you kind of make sure the strings do not get twisted around, and you kind of lay it next to it essentially. And there's kind of a setup where you can actually do that pretty easily. So so those can be available based on right now. They're not available. The launch was basically with this model here, and those of you that are out there, if there's a lot of you that want that type of guitar, we will introduce that again. But it's something that right now is not available because we just didn't have the market acceptance as much as we had in this one. But it is an available model.
Yeah, I think to me the only real feature of that guitar that would even interest me is just the tuning keys, and that's not enough for me to go to that guitar. I think if you take that factor out, don't think of the tuning keys as a convenience, because they're not. It's the tune's just as good, in some cases maybe even better with this tuning system, and you've got a smaller footprint. So I can see why this is going to be something that's going to more than likely always outsell the Roadrunner.
Yeah, that's right. And the other thing too is the portability is a little better, and the fact that the actual neck is actually stowed into the body, it kind of tucks the strings away so they're not hanging out also. I mean, not that it's a big problem, but you have to be a little bit more careful.
Yep. And I've taken mine apart probably since I've had it now. When did you send me this one? Probably about 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Somewhere in that neighborhood. Yeah. So I've taken the neck off about 5 or 6 times just to practice with it. I showed it on the air a couple times. I've had no problems with, I've never broke a string yet. And I always like to say knock on wood, because now they've said I'm going to break one. No problem scratching the guitar. Stowing away is no problem whatsoever. And there's a technical question from Pryon Joni, says, how is the truss rod adjusted? So yeah, we mentioned that earlier, but just like a traditional older style vintage, really.
I can show here for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Since you got yours all in tune.
And I've already adjusted mine, like I said, because of the shipping from warmer climate to cold climate.
As you see, I'm taking it apart again. Very easy.
Yeah.
If you look, you should be able to see it right there. There is the truss rod adjustment right there.
Yeah.
And what's cool about it is, like we were talking about earlier, those of you who maybe weren't online at the time, but you can make this adjustment, and then you take the guitar and you just put the neck back on and check it and see if you're good. And if it is, you're set. If not, you can take it back off again. Where, of course, on a traditional guitar, you got to take the strings off every time.
Yeah.
So truss rod adjustments are a piece of cake on this because of the fact that you can take the neck off so easily.
Yeah, it is.
Hopefully
for sure.
that answers that question.
Yeah, I think so. Jerome was saying that, no, was it the Roadrunner did have a tuner and locking tuners on it?
I don't know if they're Spurger locking tuners or not. I think they're
Okay.
kind of standard, like the Grover-esque, if you will.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, gotcha.
But yeah,
Brian Reeves says, great idea. Dry with Victor's here. Ziggy saying, awesome sauce. And Brasbro says, cool idea. Hi, Eric. And yeah, so it's a fantastic instrument overall. I think it's going to be a very popular seller. It's nice. I want to see more people getting it in their hands. Once you get it into your hands, you're going to negotiate a deal because you don't want to give it up. You know what I mean? It's fantastic. I'm very, very happy to finally actually talk to you about this. I think people were really digging it the first time I did the, not the unboxing, they were intrigued by that. But when they got to see it being played and they heard it and they're like, okay, this isn't a toy. This is a real deal. And the fact that anything of this caliber, well under $1,000, you can actually go out and buy, I mean, it's what are you going to find for under $1,000 that you can actually, really play, really enjoy, and travel with, break it down, carry with you on any travel destination. Your options are kind of limited, but by having a real guitar, I mean.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That was the whole impetus for actually kind of releasing that. As I said, when you have your array of different instruments that you like, and we all have lots of different instruments if we're guitar players and we played for a while, but this one certainly has a characteristic and a set of characteristics that are different than, and that's the reason that you want to have this, is for those reasons.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And it's sitting on a couch watching a movie. I mean, not that you should be giving your family full attention when you're spending some time with them, but I like to always noodle on the guitar when I'm sitting on the couch watching something. If a lot of times I'll be in a meeting, and I'll be like a web meeting, whatever. I'll be noodling on the guitar as well too. It's convenient. It's right there, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly right.
So just as a reminder, as Jim was telling us, we have a special coupon code available. So if you go to stewartguitars.com, at your checkout, there's a spot to apply the coupon code EVH 2018. So thank you for that. And that will allow you $50 off the total checkout price. So that is awesome. I will put that in the description of the video once this is done as well. I'll edit that and I'll reshare it on Facebook as well too, and put that coupon code in there as well. So at least for now, guys, that you're watching in the chat, if you're not familiar 100%, go over to the website. It's very, very cool. There's a lot of cool stuff there. Frequently asked questions to kind of recap everything we've talked about today. There's some good videos, and I'm sure there'll be more coming in over the days and months and to follow. And we're gonna be really looking forward to seeing some. I'm sure you'd like to see this too. Get a guitar and send in some videos. Send in some pictures of you with your guitar, and we'd both like to see them. It'd be fun for sure. And especially if you've heard about it here on my show, I'd love to hear from that as well too, and we'll share that with you, Jim, too. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, we would love to see that. I tell people when I'm out on the social media and looking at things that, send me a picture where you are with your Stow-Away, and we've got a lot of those neat ones. It's kind of cool to see where people have them.
I like that. Yeah, over on the beach in Bali or whatever. I've seen pictures of you and right in the ocean with yours.
Yeah, that's right. I did that just because I could. But it was fun. But I mean, where else could you do that? Or what other guitar could you do that? And it would be difficult. I mean, not saying you couldn't grab one out there, but it would be a little difficult. So yeah, very, very versatile instrument from that. And another thing too is you may not have mentioned, but I think is worth noting is that the balance is real nice on it.
Perfect.
And it's not real heavy, so it's pretty easy to sling around. It's not really killing you, like maybe a traditional heavy solid body guitar might. No,
and it's heavy enough that it feels right too, if that makes sense. You don't want something that's gonna feel like a piece of plywood, so the weight is nice too. Balance, you're right on that, but it actually feels like it's the weight that it should be. Now here's something I pointed out, and I just guessed at this. I have no knowledge on the reasoning for it, but I noticed there's 2 strap pins on the back, and I'm assuming, tell me if I'm wrong, it's depending on where you want to put it, because you can't put it at the bottom because it blocks your access to the tuners. Is it just for comfort for where you'd like to have the position?
Yeah, that's the one reason. The other reason too is if you want to set the guitar down, it has another set point too.
Yep.
So it's kind of equally spaced for the set points as well. So kind of 2 different purposes. Some people would rather have it up here so it's not in the way, or some people like that higher setting where they can have it up here a little further, the more jazz players or what have you. But also then it allows you, if you set it down on something, now it has 2 points to set, so you're not sitting on the tuner.
Yeah, and you know what I like about that? We sometimes we get up to go get a coffee or something like that. We put our guitar down and lean up against a wall. And next thing you know is boom, and it falls.
Yeah.
I've stood this one up many times right on the floor, and it goes up against a wall, and it sits there nice and safe. I'm not saying it's not going to fall, but it won't fall as easy as a traditional guitar. And that's nice. When you're done, put it up against the wall. Just when we were playing here, I didn't have this on a guitar stand. I just had it behind my mixer on the floor, and it stands very nicely and securely. So it's little tiny bonuses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome.
Try to think of some of those things like that, so people will have that little extra feature, if you will.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
The guitar. Yeah.
So anything new? I mean, this is something obviously that's got your attention on the Stow-Away. But anything else coming down the road that you're looking at, or is it something for another day? We'll talk about that.
Yeah, we might. I mean, there's the obvious questions would be, can you do it on an acoustic? Can you do a bass and all those sort of things? And I've had a lot of those questions. And again, those are out on the horizon for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of promoting the guitar initially right now and get that rolling, get the company kind of moving forward as we just launched in October. I'd like to see I think we're going to see that. So as that moves forward, there'll be opportunities to do different things, because I've had a lot of guys asking about basses. Basses have a longer neck, but it still would be a much smaller footprint than if you're carrying. When I was at NAMM, there was a lot of these guys that were playing, and gosh, they had these amazingly large, looked like they were in the infantry backpacks with huge, it must have been 100 pounds that they were carrying around. And I envied the guys for carrying that stuff around, but I thought to myself, this could be an option if you had a headless bass. Might be a little bit longer, but still would be a smaller footprint that you could take with you.
Yeah.
And similar with acoustic guitars, but I think the bonus that I would have to do there is I think that it would have to be a slimmer line body, because if you have a real thick body like a traditional acoustic guitar, like a concert or even like a stage, that footprint is still pretty large. So, but there are guitars out there that have that thinner line footprint.
Yeah, think of the old Kramer Farringtons. Remember those?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and they had pretty nice tone. But they were thin.
Yeah. It kind of beats all the odds. You shouldn't sound very good, but they did. And that's the thing too. I can see, I'm not an engineer and I don't have any kind of engineering knowledge, but if I'm looking on paper, what would I release first if I was your company, a bass or an acoustic guitar? And for ease, not that any of it's easy, but I would think the bass would probably come first because of the sheer easiness. That's not the word I'm looking for. The sheer mechanics of it. With an acoustic guitar, there's a lot of hollow parts. The stability with that plate, how we're going to make that plate work on the acoustic. So yeah, being the thinner body would be the first start, but a bass guitar I think should translate a lot easier.
Exactly.
And that'd be cool. That'd be very cool to have.
Yeah, exactly. So those are things that they're out there on the horizon that'll be, next steps as we kind of move forward with the company.
Yeah, fantastic. Brusbo at the very end is asking, says, what's the name of your band, Eric? I've actually retired now. I retired in 2012, but the band was called Finding Corn. You can find some of my links on SoundCloud. Just go to soundcloud.com/Eric Broadbent Solo, and you can check out some of the music there. So thank you for asking. I appreciate it. So listen, Jim, thank you so much, number one, for letting me check out one of these guitars. I absolutely love the guitar. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and it is an honest fight in the house between Junior and I. And I certainly don't discourage him from playing it, because I love seeing him playing guitar. He's having a lot of fun with it, and he's loving it as well too. So a big thank you from him as well too. Thank you for all the feedback you've given me, the technical information that you've given me to provide to my viewers here as well too. You've been a great asset, and it was just great that we stumbled upon one another. I'm happy to become your friend, and if there's anything I can ever do, if you ever want to do any kind of holiday promotions, I know we're far away from that, but anytime you want to do something together, let me know, and I'd be happy to assist you in promoting. But thank you so much for your time. It's been a great pleasure.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me on. I mean, you have so many great musicians and other people that are in the industry, and I feel honored to be part of that. So thank you for that. And we did get to kind of build a friendship, and hopefully one of these days in the not too distant future, we can actually get together face to face. So I look forward to that.
Guaranteed. And if you're going to do NAMM again in 2019, Junior and I will be there together, so you can meet both of us at the same time, which would be nice. We'll look forward
wonderful.
To it.
Okay.
That'll be good. Yeah, maybe we'll take in some of the LA sights and sounds outside of NAMM too. That'll be cool.
That'd be wonderful.
That'd be great.
That'd be wonderful.
And I wish you and Jared the best of times too when you get together there next week. You're going to like him. He's a lot of fun. He's going to make you laugh. He's a good dude, and I think the two of you will really hit it off. And I cannot wait. I know what his response is going to be with your guitar, but I want to hear it for myself. So, Jared, if you're still listening at work, I want you to let me know the minute you're done playing the guitar and what your thoughts are. And I can pretty much sum it up already. I know he's going to like it. So, listen, I thank you so very much. I thank everyone as well, too, for coming in for day 3 of 3 back-to-back shows. Back shows. Back again next Friday. I think I've got Warren Hughes. I got to double check my itinerary. I've got Warren Hughes coming up, and I've got Michelangelo Batillo coming up as well too. So it's lots of fun. I like it. I like talking gear, having all this kind of fun stuff. I'm going to say goodbye to you off the air. Everyone, still go and enjoy the rest of your weekend. It's still nice and early Saturday. Have a good time, and we'll look forward to seeing you all very, very soon. Jim, don't go away. We can say goodbye off the air. Thanks again, Jim.
All right. Take care. We'll see you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. I am now on Patreon. If you enjoy my content and wish to support my channel and what I do, then please check out my Patreon page at patreon.com/EVHGearTV. Your support assures the continued growth of this channel and a fun community in which to share our love for Van Halen, music gear, and much more.
Hey, my name is Eric and I'm playing the Frankenstrat guitar.
Video production services provided by Design 39 Media. Visit design39media.com for all your website, photography, and video production needs.